Do you want to build wealth tax-free, but you don't know which is better, a Roth IRA or an Index Universal Life Insurance, also called an IUL? If you're asking yourself this question, you are not alone. Every day, I see people getting bombarded with conflicting advice, especially on social media. One guru says Roth IRAs are outdated, while another claims IULs are just expensive insurance policies. The confusion ends today, because I'm here to break it down for you in a way that even your non-finance friends will understand. On this episode of Money Talks with Njideka, we're stepping into the ring with Roth IRAs and cash value life insurance policies, more specifically with Index Universal Life Insurance, or IULs. We're uncovering the strengths, we're exposing their weaknesses, and we're crowning the ultimate champion for your financial future. Hey, so I'm Njideka, a financial advisor here to help you cut through the noise and build generational wealth with confidence. If you are tired of confusing financial advice and want clear, actionable strategies, you are in the right place. Before we get started, do not forget to hit that thumbs up button, drop a comment below with your burning questions about Roth IRAs and IULs, and share this with your friends who need a financial wake-up call. Today, we're settling the Roth IRA versus IUL debate once and for all. I'm going to show you exactly what the financial influencers aren't clarifying for you. And by the end of this video, you'll know which option makes more sense for your situation. First, let me clear something up. These two products aren't really in competition. They're technically meant to serve different purposes, but they're often pitched against each other, especially on social media. So let's understand what each one really is. And actually, let's break down both across 6 areas that you need to understand. The basics, accessing your money, fees, growth potential, tax benefits, and pricing. In other words, contributions or premium. First, the basics. Let's start with Roth IRAs. This one is pretty straightforward. A Roth IRA is a tax-advantaged retirement account that lets you invest after-tax dollars and watch your money grow tax-free. You can access your contributions at any time, and your withdrawals in retirement are also tax-free. IULs, on the other hand, are a type of permanent life insurance that offers a death benefit and builds cash value that's linked to a stock market type of index. It also has the potential for tax-advantaged withdrawals. So, let's do a side-by-side of the basics. For Roth IRAs, for 2025, the IRS allows a contribution limit of $7,000 per year, or $8,000 if you're over the age of 50. It's a retirement account, not an insurance product. Also, you control your investments and have access to the entire stock market. You get tax-free growth and tax-free qualified withdrawals. And there's no required minimum distributions. For IULs, there's no strict contribution limits. It's a life insurance policy, not a retirement account. It combines life insurance with an account that's linked to an index similar to being in the stock market. More about that later. And when you pay your premium, part of it goes to the life insurance, part of it goes to the fees, and part of it goes into the cash value account. Next, let's address accessing your money in both. With Roth IRAs, when it comes to your contributions, you can withdraw them at any time without penalty or taxes, no matter what age you are. Now, when it comes to the growth that you would have earned in that account, there are a few more restrictions to that chunk of money. So let me explain this in different scenarios. Scenario number 1, let's say you're 59 and a half and you've had the account for over 5 years. If this is you, then you are all good to go. You can take all the earnings penalty-free and tax-free. When you're trying to access it outside of those parameters, that's when it can get a bit interesting. So let's take scenario 2. Let's say you haven't reached 59 and a half and it hasn't been 5 years that you've had that account. If this is you, then the earnings that have grown in there, they may be subject to taxes and penalties. Now, there are a few ways that you may be able to avoid penalties in various situations, such as first-time home purchases, qualified educational expenses, if you become disabled, and even if you have qualified expenses related to birth or adoption, just to name a few. Mind you, I said that you could potentially avoid penalties, not taxes. You're always on the hook for taxes. So, we're still on the point of accessing your money with Roth IRA, so let's move on to scenario number 3. Let's say you still haven't reached 59 and a half, but it has been 5 years since you've opened the account. Well, in that case, the earnings that you withdraw will only be tax-free if it's for a first-time home purchase or if you become disabled or pass away. I'm not gonna lie, beyond the regular 59 and a half access, it can just get a little complicated. All right, now that was a mouthful. So let's move on to IULs. So accessing your funds in this case is somewhat straightforward because it happens with withdrawals or policy surrenders. Now, I will say these types of policies and most cash value policies in general, they introduce a kind of an additional layer to the mix, and this is the concept of borrowing against the cash value, meaning you're getting a loan for the policy. It's somewhat similar to you getting a secured loan at a bank because you're leveraging the funds in that cash account as collateral so that you can access the cash. You want to remember that there may be tax implications, yes, even though people always talk about how it's tax-free. And yes, there will be interest paid on that loan that you take out. Now, again, I won't lie to you. Something that has always fascinated me about cash value policies is how the insurance industry has normalized the idea of paying to access your own money. You'll often hear people talking about be your own bank. And now, don't come for me too hard because I do understand the concept of using financial products in strategic ways. But imagine telling someone that they need to take a loan out to access their savings account. They think that you're crazy, right? But somehow in the insurance world, this has become completely normal. More on that later. All right, so let's sum that up. With Roth IRAs, your contributions are available anytime. Now, the earnings are tax-free after 59 and a half and after 5 years of having that account, in alignment with any other retirement account. It's all the same thing. Now, the restrictions and the caveats come into play if you're accessing those funds before 59 and a half and or if you're under those 5 years, meaning there will be penalties and or taxes that may come into play. But it's your money, there are no loans needed, and the account stays intact even if you do pause contributions. With an IUL, you can only access your cash value through withdrawals, surrenders, and loans. You're paying interest on your own money, and you do need to maintain premium payments while that loan is outstanding. Next, let's address fees in both. With Roth IRAs, typically, they have minimal account maintenance fees, and they rarely have commissions these days, depending on what platform you use. With IULs, usually a few more fees come into play. So in addition to the normal insurance charges, their fees also include administrative costs, surrender charges if you cancel early, and higher commissions that have an upfront impact on when your cash account even begins to grow. Next, when it comes to growth potential, Roth IRAs offer distinctly more flexibility in terms of investment choices. They allow you to invest in a wider range of assets, including stocks, bonds, mutual funds, index funds, ETFs, and even real estate. In addition to that, you're entitled to all the growth that comes in that account. So for example, if you have an ETF and it gives you a 25% return that year, your entire account gets that return. Now with IULs, when you pay your premium, part of it goes into a cash account that's tied to something like the S&P 500. And let's be clear, when I say something like the S&P 500, that means you're not actually invested in the S&P 500. I know this, but most people don't. I know that in order to actually sell investments, you need an actual investment license. And many of the people that market IULs only have an insurance license. If you don't believe me, then just ask them. So how is this possible? Well, think about it. I said something like the S&P 500. So what's happening is that the insurance company has its own model, and that model will protect you from market losses. But at the same time, they also cap your gains. So for example, if last year the S&P 500 had a return of over 25%, most IULs don't even give you half of that return. So ultimately, again, you have caps on your returns. All right, so we're getting through this list quick. I hope you all are still with me because we got the next one, and that is about the tax benefits. So as most people know, Roth IRAs are one of the popular kids on the retirement block, particularly because they offer tax-free growth and tax-free withdrawals in retirement. Now, don't forget those conditions I mentioned earlier. So as long as you access your account after age 59 and a half, again, just like any other retirement account, it's a clear win for long-term investors. For IUL policies, the money in the cash account is growing tax deferred. Cash value life insurance in general is not taxable as it grows within the policy. Now, keep in mind, it's worth noting that if something is growing tax deferred, then this inherently suggests that there is some possibility and some possible circumstance where taxes might be due. So just keep in mind that there are a few ways, whether it is being withdrawn, whether it's being taken as a loan, or whether it's being surrendered, that taxes may come into play. Ultimately, it's essential to understand the specific rules within your policy, and it could help to consult a tax advisor for guidance. It really all just depends on how it's structured. Now, let's be clear about what we're talking about. I am not talking about the death benefit that your beneficiaries get in case of somebody's untimely passing. Remember, death benefits are not taxed. We are specifically talking about the money that is growing within the cash account. All right, so we're almost done, guys. We only have one more feature to highlight. Coming in at number 6, let's look at pricing, or in the case of Roth IRAs, contributions. So Roth IRAs don't have any explicit price, or better put, any required minimum contribution that you need to make. I've seen Roth IRAs where people are putting in $50 per month or even less. But again, that's at the discretion of the account holder. IUL pricing could be a totally different story, especially depending on how it's structured. I've personally seen IUL policies where a person is paying hundreds or even thousands. Honestly, they're often marketed with high monthly premiums, which, if folks want to tell the truth, can create a false sense of perceived sophistication to the buyer, which ultimately also leads to a higher commission for the agent. Sorry, agents, I just see it too often to not speak on it. So with that said, it's just important to understand the true cost and compare it to other options. Now, before I come to a close, let me take a minute to address something that's on my spirit. I couldn't wrap this episode up without breaking something down a bit. Here's what many insurance agents, because it's not necessarily the fiduciary financial advisors where this is coming up. When I say fiduciary financial advisor, that means the people who don't have a dog in the fight except to tell you which products work best for your situation. Yeah, not them. This issue oftentimes comes with insurance agents. So this is what the insurance agents that heavily market IULs won't tell you. And this is the biggest reason why there's so many mixed opinions about the use of these types of policies for a cash account. It isn't simply the concept of having money growing as a complement to your life insurance. Because yes, those two things can happen at the same time. The problem is there is a movement of agents that are trying to convince people to implement financial strategies that are completely out of their tax bracket. Some agents are more focused on the huge commissions they'll make from selling you a cash value policy than telling you about other options that might make more sense for your budget. Too often, IULs, as well as a few cash value policies, are sold to people who don't need them, don't understand them, and frankly, can't afford them. Look, I'm not here to bash agents, but I am here to empower you, the viewer, to make informed decisions about your money, including the tactics they use. Whether it's when an agent gives you a shorter term policy that will force you to come back to them in a few years so that they can upsell you to higher price cash value product, or when they promote the term and cash value combo package, because look, they might just be tired of battling the Susie Orman / Dave Ramsey crew, and they just said, listen, if you can't beat them, then join them. I'm gonna just sell it as a bundle. Here's the truth. Most healthy middle income families just need a simple, low cost term life insurance policy with a solid death benefit. And guess what? Many 6 and 7 and even 8-figure earners use the exact same strategy. Don't let these folks okie doke you by enticing fear of missing out about what the wealthy are doing. Trust me, the wealthy are using term too. Now, there are times when cash value policies make sense. For example, if you're older, maybe you're mid-60s or older, and you're facing age restrictions because you're trying to get a brand new policy. Or if you have health issues and you need to explore guaranteed issue options. Or for specific actual tax planning needs when you are actually in a higher tax bracket. But here's something to consider. Even if you are in that higher tax bracket, even if this is for tax planning, we would typically explore many other tax strategies before even considering cash value policies because we know about their higher costs. When I say we, I mean fiduciary financial advisors. We don't have any dog in the fight except to make sure that we're giving you recommendations that are in your best interest. Because if you're not in the right tax bracket, you're basically buying a Ferrari when a reliable sedan would do the job just as good and cost significantly less. All right, so let's wrap this up. Whether you choose either of the options I've discussed comes down to your specific situation. But remember, just start with the basics when it comes to retirement. Get your 401k match, then consider a Roth IRA for flexibility and control. Only explore cash value options when it makes sense strategically. And even then, find someone that can help you actually structure it based on your needs and your tax bracket. So who's the champion for retirement? Roth IRAs all the way. And if you found this breakdown helpful, smash the like button and share this video with somebody who needs to hear this. Your engagement helps more people find this important information. And if you are ready to take your wealth building journey to the next level, find the link below to join the waitlist for my Boldly Building Wealth community. We are creating a space where ambitious individuals like yourself can get the strategies, support, and accountability needed to build true generational wealth. Again, click the link in the description to secure your spot. See you next time.